Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tony and this is a 15-minute gamer. Today we're taking a look at John Carpenter's Toxic Commando demo to see whether this is shaping up to be something worth getting excited about or whether this is just another co-op zombie shooter that we've seen before. Now the demo is currently available on PC via Steam. The full game is planned for PC and consoles, and obviously this isn't the final release, so these are early impressions rather than the full review. And as always, before we jump into it, a quick reminder, if you're grabbing some games, VR gear, or just want to stay safe online, check the links in the description and the comments below for GreenManGaming, Pimax and NordVPN. So story isn't really the main focus here, but there is a basic setup. You're part of a group of mercenaries dealing with the aftermath of a catastrophic experiment that's basically turned the world into a toxic zombie-infected mess. The tone leans heavily into the classic John Carpenter's B-movie horror style, slightly cheesy, a bit over the top, but intentionally fun. At its core, Toxic Commando is a co-op PvE horde shooter where you and your team complete objectives while fighting waves of enemies. Think Left 4 Dead, World War Z, Back 4 Blood, that kind of structure. You've got objective-based missions, horde combat, vehicles, character abilities, and light progression. And overall, I think it works. But there's also something important to talk about here, because while the game is fun, it also doesn't really do anything new. If you've played this genre before, you'll immediately understand what's going on, and that's probably the biggest takeaway from the demo. One thing I also want to mention is I played the demo solo using AI bots rather than real players. You can play online, you can play crossplay, and you can play with friends. But honestly, the bots were fine. They're not amazing. They're also not useless, which is good to see. They do revive you, they do shoot enemies, they do follow objectives. They have like a menu where you can tell them to do stuff, so the game is definitely playable solo. Which is good news because if you don't always have people to play with or don't have any friends like me, it means you can still play the game. But you can also tell very quickly that this game is clearly designed around co-op. The chaos, the pace, and the big moments, all of that is obviously going to feel better with friends and real players rather than AI teammates. So solo does work, but co-op is almost certainly where this game will shine the most. The one key thing I took away from this game, it just feels a bit mid. It's not bad, it's not amazing, it's just solid. And I think that comes from the fact it's sitting in a very crowded genre without doing something dramatically different. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's relying heavily on execution rather than innovation. One thing it does do slightly differently is vehicles. So vehicles are actually one of the more interesting parts of the game, and honestly, one of the things that makes it feel different compared to the other horde shooters. Because it's not just driving from A to B, there's actual terrain resistance, mud, environmental obstacles like this slime thing you can get stuck in, and you even have mechanics like using a winch to pull vehicles out when you get stuck. And this is where a weird comparison comes in. It generally feels like someone took elements of SnowRunner and then combined them with Left 4 Dead, which I've never seen in a game before. It's a really unusual combination. Sometimes it does work really well, especially when you're trying to escape while everything is going wrong around you. Other times it can slow the pacing down a little bit, but it definitely gives the game some personality, and honestly the vehicle sections might end up being one of the strongest parts of the full game if they expand on them properly. Combat is obviously massive in this game. You're going to be shooting a lot of enemies. Weapons do feel responsive enough, enemies react clearly, and shooting through hordes can be satisfying, especially when the action ramps up. The game definitely feels stronger during these chaotic moments where everything is going wrong and you're scrambling to survive. Each character has abilities, which gives some identity to rules and encourages teamwork. This adds depth compared to just pure shooters. Right now the systems feel slightly underdeveloped, more like a foundation rather than a finished feature. It feels more like there's potential, but bearing in mind it's a demo that won't be showing off everything yet. Difficulty wise, I would say it sits in a pretty good place overall. It's not brutally hard on the easier settings. There are definitely some moments though where things escalate quickly, especially with larger enemy waves, and you can get to the end of the mission in the game, and if you haven't got enough supplies, it can re-screw you over. Team coordination, I can imagine, makes a massive difference, which is exactly what you want from a co-op game. So the challenge level feels appropriate for the genre. One thing that is worth mentioning, because a lot of players are talking about it, is the lack of a proper field of view slider in the demo. Honestly, most complaints are about that thing. For some players it's not a big deal, for me, but for others it can obviously affect comfort and overall feel, especially on the PC, where this sort of thing is expected. Hopefully that's something that gets addressed before launch, but as I said, it didn't really bother me, but it is worth pointing out. Visually, the game looks pretty good. It's not pushing boundaries, but lighting is solid, effects look nice, environments are detailed enough, horde density is impressive. Honestly, there's loads of zombies on screen at once. Performance in the demo did seem reasonably stable too, which is a good sign. Sound design is decent. I would say the only negative thing was the voice acting and the way they spoke. You know, I don't like that fake banter between characters, and this game has a lot of it. Weapons have weight, explosions feel impactful, and the soundtrack fits the action tone. So overall, Toxic Commando feels promising, but also I would say it's a bit sick. It's not reinventing the genre. It doesn't really need to, I guess. The biggest strengths are the chaotic movement, horde combat, vehicles adding variety, and accessible gameplay. The biggest risks you've got though are long-term playability, the depth of the systems, mission variety, and standing out in a crowded genre. But it's definitely going to live or die based on how much content and progression it ends up having. For now, the demo is worth trying if you enjoy co-op shooters. Right guys, that's all I've got to say on this one, so I'll catch you all later. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all later. Goodbye.